Sunny today with a high of 109. Sunny tomorrow. We're looking at a high of 111. For all that's going on in the Santa Clarita Valley, check us out on social media. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Or download the free app. Or just go to hometownstation.com.
Listening in from around the world. You are listening right here to KHTS, your hometown station. My name is Sharon Brubaker, and I'm an advanced certified grief recovery specialist. And you are listening to the Grief Recovery Hour. Thank you, friends, for joining. I'm so excited to have you here with me for this next hour. We're going to have an amazing 1 hour together. This is my first solo flight, and I am so excited. We are Facebook Live, which is my favorite part of my show. Please feel free to watch the show live. If you have any questions, you can definitely jot them in the information box, and I will definitely answer them. Everything is confidential, so you don't have to worry about your name or phone number or anything getting out. Again, thank you for joining. If you're listening to this program, there's a huge probability that your heart may be broken. It could be from a loss, either recent or long ago, or it could be from the breakup of a romantic relationship or a divorce. Regardless of the cause of your broken heart, you know how you feel, and it probably isn't good. I'm not going to tell you how you feel because you already know. At best, I can tell you what it felt like when my broken heart occurred, and that was not good. I think I've shared quite a few times, but I'm going to go back and tell you guys the entire story of my loss and allow you in on this very precious moment in my life. It was 2006, a day I will never forget. June 16th, to be exact, Father's Day weekend. And I was sitting at a broker's open house in Valencia. I sold real estate at the time. And I received a call from my youngest daughter, Brittany. And she screamed into the phone, "Mom, I lost Austin." Austin was my 10-year-old nephew, and they were on a family vacation at the lake. This little voice inside my head said, "Be strong, just be strong." And I said, "Honey, he's there somewhere. I know he's just walked off." She said, "No, we can't. We have his shoes. We have his shoes." I didn't quite get the correlation to the shoes. So I just kept trying to be strong, which is what the little voice was telling me. And then she started to cry through a million tears, and she lowered her voice, and she said, "I'm so scared." And my heart leaped into my throat. And again, that little voice said, "You got this. Just don't let her know you're scared." And my knees went weak, and I fell to the ground. It was about 3 hours after that initial call that we got the call that Austin had in fact drowned while at the lake with my family at Lake Havasu. I literally felt as if a knife was stabbed clear through my heart. I was in shock and my body went numb. We found out that the ground was about 120 degrees, hence the correlation to the shoes, that I wasn't sure why she kept mentioning the shoes. But they knew that he could not have walked off. I think she was trying to tell me without telling me that she knew it was going to be bad news. And her feeling was what was going to happen. The second part of that day that I will never forget is the look on my baby sister Erica's face when I had to knock on the door and tell her that Austin had in fact died. These two big eyes just staring back at me, and she looked at me like, "Please, please tell me something good. Give me some good news." And then again the voice said to me, "Just tell her the truth." And I just looked right at her and I said, "Erica, I'm so sorry. Austin died." It changed my life, guys. My life will never be the same. It was within that 8 months after Austin died that Eric and I, together as sisters and for our family, tried navigating through grief and loss. I can literally sit here and tell you guys that I literally did not know anything about grief. I honestly don't even think I'd ever even used the word grief or bereavement. I was in my early 40s. Who would really need that at that point? It was just so foreign to me. I did know about grief support. And if you'd asked me at that time, I would have told you, yeah, grief supports. They're groups that take place at the hospital. They're for couples, older couples, seniors, when their spouses die. So what transpired after that is this need to be strong for Erica. And I keep telling you this, be strong, and I'm going to go back to it and explain it in a little bit. So every day, it was my job to call Erica because I literally thought that she was going to grieve and I was going to be her support. And I would call her every day and I would say, hey, how's it going? And we would talk about the weather, not this 111 degrees we're having right now, but we would talk about the weather or whatever was going on. And the story always came back to, no matter what we were talking about, she always turned it back to, and then you knocked on my door. And she would repeat the entire story of her finding out about Austin and everything that transpired from that. You see, friends, grievers need to talk. They need to talk about what happened. I feel like it's almost like it's how they get the information into their brain. We literally go numb and we can't believe it. We have this disbelief. But by talking about it, it allows a little bit of the information to seep in. And so she would tell the story over and over again. At that point, the only tools that we did have was that she and I had both learned in college about the 5 stages of grief. And we knew, I actually Googled them for her. So I knew that they were, and not necessarily in this order, but denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. And so we knew that she would go through these stages, not me, but we couldn't quite figure them out. There were questions we had every day. How do you go through the stages? Do they go in order? Are they random? Is one day you're in one stage and the next day you're in another stage? It was very hard for us to figure out, but we tried navigating through that. I can remember the day that I called her and she said she was angry. Even though anger absolutely is an emotion, and it is an emotion that we can experience through grief and loss, at the Grief Recovery Institute and Grief Recovery Specialists, we don't identify it as a stage. And I said, well, who are you angry at? Are you angry at Louis, your husband? No, I could never be angry with him. Well, are you angry at the people that were on the trip? No, I could never be angry with them. Well, then tell me, who are you angry with? She's like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just angry that he's gone. You see, it just never really fit. And even as hard as we forced, we couldn't get them to fit in. And then there was the one day she said she was in denial. And I almost thought she was really losing it. And so I lowered my voice and I said, Erica, you know we had a funeral, right? You know that Austin died. You remembered. You were there. She said, yes, I remember, but maybe I'm in denial and I just can't believe that it happened, which is absolutely true. But knowing what I know now, I probably would have asked her something like, but how does it feel in your heart? How are you feeling in your heart? And she would have said, my heart is absolutely broken. I can't believe this happened to me. It was about 8 months after Austin died. I did some more research and found a program called the Grief Recovery Method. They're a well-renowned program that's been around for about 40 years. And without her permission, I signed her up for a class. I signed myself up for a class, and I signed my daughter Brittany up for the same class. I took that class thinking again that I was going to be there to be strong for her and support her. It was in that class, the very first day, that our instructor said to us, grief is a normal and natural reaction to a loss of any kind. Grief is a normal and natural reaction to a significant emotional loss. It's normal and natural to grieve. We just were never taught how to do it. The second thing she said to us is that there are no stages of grief and loss. And Erica and I both sighed the heaviest sigh that you can imagine, because we literally knew something was wrong with these stages and we couldn't get them to fit in. You see, my friends, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross wrote a book called On Death and Dying in 1969. And in this book, she absolutely interviewed, over a 2-year process, her patients. She was a psychiatrist, and she interviewed her patients that were either in hospice or dying. Somewhere along the line in the early 70s, this book started to be used in psychology courses and in colleges. And it was after this program was used in many courses that doctors then took it out to their practices. And what they did was they changed the title of the book, On Death and Dying, and started talking about the stages that a grieving person would go through. I think the most important thing that we need to think of when we're thinking of this book, On Death and Dying, is the subtitle to the book. What the dying have to teach doctors, nurses, and clergy and their own families. The book was literally written for people who had been diagnosed with a terminal illness and were dying from that terminal illness, and the stages that they would actually go through when they were proceeding with their medical treatment. One of the famous quotes from Dr. Kubler-Ross is that she stresses the fact that the book was not meant to be a textbook on how to manage dying patients. It was also not intended as a complete study of the psychological of the dying. It was also not meant to be the stages for the grieving person. First, On Death and Dying is a study of dying people, not on grief and bereavement. Secondly, this thing we call stages. And I'm doing quotes with my fingers here, because we know for a fact, as grief recovery specialists, that the stages were not meant for us to have, and they're not meant for grievers. I want to talk a little further about some things that I learned in that class that day. We also learned that grief is a conflicting feeling caused by the end or a change in a familiar pattern. Grief is a conflicting feeling. For me, that conflicting feeling happened when my father passed away almost 5 years ago now. I called my dad every day, and we would talk on the phone. Sometimes I'd call him just to find out how to make a recipe or find out where was the cheapest price on chicken for that week, because he always followed the newspaper. When my dad passed away, the conflicting feelings came with the fact that I was no longer able to call him. Grief is also the feeling of reaching out for someone who has always been there, only to discover when I need them one more time, they're no longer there. There's many times that we think of calling or being around a person that is no longer there, or always having them with us. This is also a conflicting feeling. At the Grief Recovery Institute, we also teach that instead of stages, there's some actual typical responses associated with grief. They don't come in order. You may or may not experience one, two, or all of them, but it is not uncommon for the griever to have reduced concentration. And when I'm talking today, I'm mostly reaching out to the team and supporting staff who may be around your grieving friends, relatives, or family members. It is not uncommon to see the griever just staring off into space, just really thinking of nothing, almost having a blank stare. A griever may experience a sense of numbness, disruptive sleep patterns. They may not be able to sleep at night. I know grievers tell me quite often they wake up in the middle of the night and they cannot go back to sleep. Or they're sleeping all day long and then they can't sleep at night. It is not uncommon for grievers to have a change in eating habits. One of the true signs that I often hear from grievers is that I absolutely can't eat. I'm not hungry. And it's really funny because they'll tell me the same things over and over again. They'll say, I can't get the food to go down. The thought of eating is just making me sick. What I also find very funny is that we, as supporting staff and team, oftentimes we want the grievers to eat. We want to fix them. We want to make the grievers feel better. And so what do? We offer them food. We'll even go out and make a plate of food. It was not uncommon for us to be around Erica and people bring her large plates of food during the funeral time. And she would say to me, I can't eat this. Guys, my advice to you is this. The griever will not allow their body to starve. They will not die from not eating. You can absolutely offer them the food, but if they're not hungry, don't force them to eat. When they're ready, they will start to eat. Also, change in eating habits. Sometimes grievers start to control the eating. They do get hungry, but they choose to stay in pain a little bit longer because their loved one is no longer there. So that is something you'll need to watch out for. A roller coaster of emotions. This was something we absolutely experienced. A roller coaster of emotions. There were times that we were absolutely crying for Austin. But guys, I want to tell you, there were also times that we were absolutely laughing. We were telling stories about him. We were sharing those stories. We were laughing about things that were going on in the room at the time. Or we were just not talking at all. One of the other things that I learned that I found very interesting and has been so helpful for me to date is that there are 43 known losses that a person can experience over a lifetime. We know for a fact as grief recovery specialists, death is not the only loss. Death and divorce are the most popular because that's what everybody talks about. I'm grieving. I had a death. I'm going through a grieving process. I just experienced a divorce. But I'm going to share some others with you. What about marital separation? That's a grieving experience. Having someone in your family in prison. Death of a close family member. Personal injury. Having to go around and not being able to use your leg, use your arm. Absolutely is a grieving experience. I get up and go to work every day. I'm there at my desk by 8 a.m., but now I can't do that. I need help. Illness. I'm suffering from a disease. I'm having problems. People in my family have to come and help me out. It's absolutely a grieving experience. Retirement. I'd always planned all these years I was going to retire. What happens when you don't have to get up and go to work every day and it becomes lonely or it's not as fun as you thought it was? It absolutely can be a grieving experience. Not seeing your friends from work anymore can absolutely be a grieving experience. Sexual difficulties, business readjustment, change in your financial status, increase or decrease, believe it or not. Foreclosure, bankruptcy. Let's talk about some of the grieving experiences that a teen or a child can experience. Moving quite often. I find that children that move and typically stay in the same school is not as stressful or is not as much of a loss as the ones that have to move schools year in and year out or every 2 years because they're not having to leave their friends. Comes up quite often in the grieving process. What about pet loss? This can be for us as adults as well as children. Beginning or ending school. Trouble with your boss or trouble at work. These are all grieving experiences that we can experience in our heart. End of an addiction. Christmas is absolutely a grieving experience. I heard someone tell me yesterday that they ordered their Christmas cards already. I almost flipped a lid. Guys, these are our tangible losses that we can reach out and touch. So I know that I got a divorce. I can reach out and touch it. I know it's real. It really happened to me. But there's some intangible losses as well that we experience. And sometimes they're underlying just under the major losses. It can be loss of trust, loss of approval, loss of safety, loss of control of our body, loss of faith, loss of fertility. It is not uncommon for people to do their grief work, but then completely miss their loss of trust. And that's why we have to go back and take a look at that. I'm going to take a quick break here. When I come back, we're going to be answering some questions that clients have sent me over time. People have heard of me on the radio, and we're going to answer some of those questions. I want to say I'm very honored to have you here on my first solo flight. Thank you so much. Join me back here right after the break. Talk to you soon.
Daily Imprints is the premier one-stop shop for custom embroidery, screen printing, and promotional products in the Santa Clarita Valley. Owners Joe and Dana have provided KHTS with quality embroidered company shirts for over 3 years. If it's new business cards or promotional products you need to enhance your image, Daily Imprints is the choice for you. Located on Lyons Avenue, stop by or call today, 661-678-0508.
Life's not meant to feel complacent. It's meant to make you feel alive. The youth ministry at the Church on the Way Santa Clarita believes that students can belong to the group where we will help them believe they have a purpose in Christ and become all that He has created them to be. We want to see God's power come alive in our generation. We love meeting new people, so come hang out with us. Doors open at 6 p.m. and service starts at 7 every Wednesday night. For more information about the Church on the Way Santa Clarita, including service times and what's happening through the end of the year, visit tcotwsc.org.
Your hometown station.
KHTS is your official Santa Clarita Dodger station. You can catch all evening games right here on your hometown station. For all the latest news and updates on your Los Angeles Dodgers, KHTS has you covered. Go to hometownstation.com.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
Aloha, friends. Go check out Honu Coffee, home of the best cold brew coffee. What makes their coffee special is how their organic coffee beans are infused with nitrogen to create a smooth and delicious cup of coffee. You'll also find traditional bold coffees and island-inspired signature drinks. They're the perfect place to catch up with friends or just relax with your favorite cup of joe. Honu Coffee on Lyons and Walnut in Newhall. Stop by and say aloha.
If you're in danger of losing your home to foreclosure, you need an expert. Hi, I'm Rich Sherman with Alta Realty. I've helped hundreds of Santa Clarita residents save their homes completely for free. I've got just over 20 years experience and a loan modification success rate of over 80%. I can negotiate better terms with your bank and I can save your home from foreclosure. And again, we do this completely for free. So if you're in any danger, please call me today at 661-714-1400. That number again is 661-714-1400. I'm Rich Sherman with Alta Realty, and I'll be happy to help you save your home for free.
Holy cow, it's fair time. Incredible food, crazy carnival rides, cool concerts presented by Palmdale Auto Mall, including country, rock and roll, and the sounds of the 80s. Rally Kia Arena events include Demo Derby, Monster Truck, and Figure 8 Racing. New this year, The Backyard. Enjoy craft beer, bocce ball, cornhole, and more. Get your tickets early. Pre-sale admission is just $7. Pre-sale season tickets are $15. And unlimited carnival ride wristbands are just $25. Details and ticket information at avfair.com.
Hey there, I'm Tori with your hometown station weather. Another very hot day today. An excessive heat warning continues through most of the week. Sunny today with a high of 109. Sunny tomorrow. We're looking at a high of 111. For all that's going on in the Santa Clarita Valley, check us out on social media. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Or download the free app. Or just go to hometownstation.com.
Hey guys, welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station. And the show you're listening to today is the Grief Recovery Hour with Sharon Brubaker. And I am Sharon, your advanced grief recovery specialist. Today I've been sharing my personal story of grief and loss and been so honored to have you here with me. And I just went through my story and I want to touch a little bit more on just grief and the grieving experience and what it felt like for me. There were some other things that I learned while I was in the grief recovery program. I learned that we have an average of about 13.5 million grievers annually. 13.5 due to death. There are about 2.6 million grievers in the United States due to divorce. And if you figure there's about 4 to 5 people that actually grieve the loss from each experience, we have about 15.6 million grievers per year. So that's quite a bit of people that go on through grief, through loss. Many of them will try to figure out or navigate this for themselves. Many of them don't even know where to go. And so it's so awesome to be able to be here and be a resource and a guide for so many grievers. We talked a little bit about the 43 losses that a person can experience over a lifetime and what that feels like in your heart. One of the other things that I learned in the program I want to just touch on real quick is that many times the supporting staff of our friend or our friends that are around us will really try to help us when our heart is broken. They really want to say the right things. They want to be able to help us get through this grieving experience. And most times they want to fix us. Guys, our friends don't feel comfortable with tears. They don't feel comfortable seeing us broken. And because they love us, quite honestly, they just love us. And they want to do whatever they can to help us. And many times they don't know what to do or to say. So I want to give all of us some tips here. You really don't have to say anything. Do you realize just being in the room with your friend who is grieving will help them? Just sitting near them. Many times when I'm on social media and I see someone has suffered a recent loss or their heart is absolutely broken and they're sharing it on social media, I'll just say, ouch. There are no words. Letting them know that I'm there with them. I'm holding their space. I'm in their room with them, just sitting there. Some of the things that we can tell people are, I can't even imagine what this must be like for you. I can't even imagine what your heart must be going through right now. Because the truth is, grief is unique and individual for each person. I absolutely don't know what you're feeling like. I lost a nephew. My heart was absolutely broken. If you come and tell me that your spouse or your grandmother died, I absolutely do not know what you feel like. On the day that I sat in grief recovery with my sister Erica, she was grieving the loss of her son. I was grieving the loss of my nephew. Yet we were both grieving the same person, but we didn't know what the other person was going through, even though we thought we did, which is actually kind of funny. When we try to fix our friends or help our friends, a lot of times things that they're hearing is just not helpful. The information is just not helpful or it's misinformation. Quite often we'll hear something like, just give it time, honey. If you just give it time, you'll feel better in time. How much time, you guys? How much time did I need to give it for Austin? How much time until I felt better? 10 years? 1 year? 20 years? As a grief recovery specialist, I'm here to tell you that time will not heal. It will not heal. I could sit and wait, and that time will not heal. It's the action steps that we take as grievers within that time that absolutely helps us to heal. The action steps where we absolutely look at our broken heart and what is left there to be closed, to complete in our heart. Grieve alone. A lot of times we're told, or we just believe it in our heart. This was something that I absolutely did. I believed that I didn't want my children to see me cry. That if my children saw me cry from Austin, it would scare them. And so what did I do? I only grieved in private. So I would go every morning into the shower and I would cry uncontrollably. And I knew that the moment that I turned that shower off, I had to stop crying. That it was not for them to share, and so I kept it from them. By keeping this experience for my children, I was not only hurting them, but I was also not teaching them. I was not teaching them how to grieve properly. I was keeping it to myself. Remember, I talked a lot about being strong. That voice inside my head said to be strong. This was not something that someone told me, even though quite often we do tell our friends and family to be strong. It was something that I learned. I absolutely learned to be strong from my parents. And so I knew that I needed to be strong for Erica. She never asked me for it. The other thing that was really kind of crazy is that people would come up to me and say, "You're being so strong for her. Good thing she has you." Because it's what we think we're supposed to do. I didn't hear anyone say this to me, but quite often we hear this a lot. Grievers are told, "Don't feel bad. Don't feel bad. At least he's not suffering anymore. Don't feel bad. She's gone on to a better place. Hey, honey, don't cry. Don't feel bad," we tell our children. "Have a cookie. Grandma will make it feel all better." When we're telling our children and our friends don't feel bad, what they absolutely are hearing is don't feel. Grief is an emotional experience. It takes place in our heart, not in our head. And when we tell someone not to feel, they absolutely do go there. Replace the loss. This is one of my favorite. Replace the loss is something we do with our children quite often, or we do it with ourselves when our pets pass away. How about when our favorite bike becomes missing, or someone breaks into my car and they steal some precious items from me? We quite often go to replacing the loss. Not that we don't need to replace those things, but we also need to allow that grieving experience to take place in our heart. Keep busy, my friends. There's another one that people tell us, you just keep busy and you will feel better in time. I promise you. Keep busy to me is the sister of be strong. Because as long as I'm keeping busy, I can be strong. As long as I'm being strong, I can keep busy. And I don't have to deal with the pain that's going on in my broken heart. These are myths that we teach in our grief recovery program, and I'm so honored to share them with you guys today. One of the other things I want to talk about here real quick, before I get to my questions, I have a couple of questions, is how we can help our children when they're grieving, because I touched on this just a little bit. How you can help your child, talk to your child about loss. I have a list of do's and don'ts and how we can help our children. One of the first things that we can do is be honest. Absolutely tell your children the truth. Do use the words death, dead, or dying. Do not say, Grandpa's sleeping. Grandpa's gone on to a better place. Grandpa is no longer with us. Especially small children, they will not understand that. You have to use these words. It is normal and natural to die, and it is normal and natural for us to grieve, and we have to use these words for our children. We made a mistake after Austin died. Jordan, Austin's brother, was 3 years old at the time. And Erica went to her son and she said, Austin is in heaven. Well, we had a family friend and his name was Kevin. And what Jordan heard was that Austin was with Kevin. And for 2 or 3 days, he walked around the room telling us that he wanted Kevin to bring Austin back. And it was after that moment that Erica realized, I've got to correct this. And so on the third night, she sat with Jordan and she said, buddy, I'm so sorry. I need to explain something to you. Austin died. And in his 3-year-old little self, he dropped his head and he closed his eyes. And he absolutely got it. He knew what she was saying. So I do want to tell you this. Do go first as the adult when talking to your children. Do tell them the truth. Use the words death or dying. Do recognize that grief is emotional. Grief happens in our heart. It is not intellectual. It happens, my friends, in our heart, not in our brain. Recognize that grief is emotional and attach emotion words to what you're sharing. And I often give out 5 very simple emotional words that we can use when talking to our children. And those are mad, glad, sad, afraid, or embarrassed. honey, I'm really sad right now. Austin died, and I need to tell you this. Listen with your heart and ears. And what does that mean? That means that after a grieving experience, you'll want to check the pulse of your children quite often. What does that mean? That means go in there and have a conversation with them. And I do something like this. I put my children in my car, and quite often I turn the radio off so that we're all talking, or I'm listening to them talk, and then I may tell a story. And it'll be, today was a really hard day for me. It was a sad day for me. It was really a day that I missed Austin a lot, and I cried. And after that one sentence, I will be quiet. And when they hear me tell the truth and tell my truth, my children will often answer back, and they start having conversations with me. However, don't be surprised if on the first day that you do that, they don't say anything. Just keep doing it every now and then, just checking in with them. And eventually you're going to see them open up to you and start having conversations. And they're going to come to you before you even get to them. Remember that each child is unique. And so their relationship to loss will be unique. Each child is going to grieve it in a different way. Some will be very quiet. Some will be very vocal. Some will want to talk about it. And be patient. Be patient with your kids. I have a couple of don'ts that I want to give you as well. Don't tell them not to feel scared. Don't feel scared is something that we often tell our children when we're at this point. And what they hear is don't feel. If you're scared, share it with them. Share that you're scared. Don't say to your children, don't feel sad. Because sadness is an emotional experience that we will have, and it's a natural reaction to a loss. Friends, I want to tell you something else. Do cry in front of your children. Don't try to hide it from them. They need to understand that crying may or may not be a sign of this grief. Sometimes we shed tears. Sometimes we don't. But that doesn't mean we're not grieving just because we're not crying. Do not ask your children how they're feeling. So if the kids get in the car right after school and you say, hey, how are you feeling? They're going to tell you the biggest lie ever, and a lie that they've been telling you for a very long time. I'm fine. Because they don't know how to have that conversation with you. You are setting the tone for that conversation. Don't act strong for your children. We talked about this. Not feeling. Do cry in front of them. Or just be sad. Or just be alone with them. And just hug them. Don't compare your lives or your situation to anyone else's. Don't compare your loss to someone else's loss. Don't compare the loss of your dog or your cat to your neighbors and how they're reacting. Your child may not go through it the same. Don't compare the loss of their bike to the way little Tommy acted down the street. Give them the chance to talk about it. Don't forget that your children are very smart. They're extremely smart, and they're watching you. And they're watching every step of what you are going through. And they're learning how to grieve in their adult lives by what they see you do. When I was 14 years old, I had an aunt that passed away. And my father and mother, bless their hearts, went right away to the hospital to be with my uncle. And they stayed there for a very long time, for about 3 days. They didn't come back. My older brother and I stayed with the younger kids. And what I saw was my dad be very strong and be there for his brother, be there every step of the way. And it was that process that I learned my being strong from. I watched him without him ever having to tell me. And that was the process that I used when my own grieving experience has happened. So I'm going to answer a question here live. I just got this question emailed to me not that long ago, and I want to share it with you guys. It says, Sharon, my fiance died 2 years ago. He was everything to me. It hurts me today as bad as it did the first time it happened. But when I think of it, I get so angry. Is that normal? I do not know why. Why did we meet? Why did it all seem so perfect? Why was it all taken from me? Why did we not have time to get married? Why did he get cancer? I don't know the answers to the why. And she just put thank you. I don't have her name. And so, dear thank you, I want to say thank you for sending me this question. I have absolutely answered it on email, but I want to share this today. I have permission to share it. Sometimes the immediate thing that happens for us is trying to figure out that why. And we will search and search to try to figure out the answers to that why. And many times, friends, the why and the answer to the why is in our own heart. The unanswered questions are right there when we examine that relationship. She said, is this normal that I'm angry? Yes, it is normal to be angry. But why are you angry? What happens in the grief recovery process is that we absolutely do an inventory of your heart. We look at every aspect of the relationship. We look at everything that you are grieving, every process, every thought you're having. And a lot of times when people say to me, I'm angry, I know for a fact that a thought preceded that anger. And so many times I'll ask them, what was the thought that you had right before that angry feeling? And we'll examine that thought and why they went there. It could be simply that I have tickets to a concert and now he's not here to go with me. It could simply be that my friends don't call me anymore. The answers to the why are within you, and they're within you to discover. And with grief recovery, we are able to discover that why for you and walk that steps of the why. Why did he get cancer? I absolutely don't know and can't answer that question for you. Many times, the whys aren't what we think they are, but they really are the brokenness. Many times, the whys are the things that I needed to say that I didn't get a chance to say to him because he left me. Many times, the whys are anything that we wanted to be better, different, or more. I wanted it to be better. I still want him here with me. I wanted it to be different. I didn't want him to have a cancer diagnosis. And I want more. I want more of him. When we can do that discovery, and we have the acceptance that and the awareness that there's a brokenness in our heart. So the awareness happens that our heart is absolutely broken. And we accept that our heart is absolutely broken. And we acknowledge that we need to do the work. We can get the answers to those questions. So here's the thing I have to tell you. The answers to your why are definitely within your heart, and they're for you to figure out. And it is very helpful to have a guide to figure that out for you. Okay, friends, when we come back, I'm going to answer a few more questions. We're going to take a quick break. I want to thank you for joining me on this amazing hour. See you right back here after the break.
Why do people from all over Santa Clarita come to our spa in Canyon Country? Simple. They want the highest quality services at prices that everyone can afford. This is Rosemary from Beyond Harmony Med Spa. Read our reviews and know why we won the Ultimate Beauty Awards 2 years in a row by the readers of Elite magazine. Come and see how close we really are and experience the level of excellence that our clients have loved for the past 13 years. Go to beyondharmony.com or call 298-8008 today for a free consultation.
La Esmeralda is home to truly authentic Mexican food. This family-owned restaurant prides itself on its fresh-to-order menu. Even the tortillas are made in-house. If you have a taste for sizzling fajitas, flautas, or menudo, you have to try La Esmeralda's Mexican and Seafood Restaurant. Dine in or order out for the most authentic Mexican food Santa Clarita has to offer. Their Taco Tuesday, it'll turn you into a regular. La Esmeralda on Bouquet at Haskell.
Accesso Technology is holding an interview event on August 3rd, 4th, and 5th at Westfield Valencia Town Center. You'll have an opportunity to support Accesso's award-winning ride queuing solution. We're hiring 65-plus entry-level cashiers and ride attendants to work on-site at the Flash Pass operations at Six Flags Magic Mountain. Enjoy flexible hours and free park passes on your days off. Apply now at summerparkjobs.com. Meet our team at the Westfield Valencia Town Center the first weekend of August. Who said work can't be fun?
Hi, friends. Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS right here in your hometown station. And my name is Sharon Brubaker, and you are listening to the Grief Recovery Hour. So honored to be here with you guys for this hour. It has been amazing. My first solo journey. It's been really cool. Thank you for all of the love that I'm receiving on Facebook Live and all the comments there. I'll make sure to go in there and answer any questions that you have left for me. Absolutely. I want to talk about what grief recovery is. Grief recovery is done in a couple of different ways. It's an 8-week educational program, usually done in a class setting. So that means you may or may not have other people in your program. I love group programs because it's a time for us to all be together, be there for other grievers, really hold the space for other grievers. And it's an amazing process that we do. I also teach one-on-one. Quite often grievers come to me and they really want that time alone, that time to share, that time to really walk their personal journey with me one-on-one. And I am absolutely honored to do that. The other program that I teach is called When Children Grieve. It's one of the best programs. I just love it. It's put together with the grief recovery process, and it is made so simple for you to understand. And it is literally put together for, the program is for adults, and I teach it to adults, and it helps them to go home and help their children through the grieving process. And then the last segment, I just went over quite often how you can help your child through that grieving process. Another program that I teach is a 6-week educational program that's on pet loss. Friends, it is not uncommon for us to grieve when our pets die. The love with your pet is just beautiful. They look at you with those 2 big eyes and they just love you. And you look back at them and it's just sheer love shared both ways. Who is there when you get home that is the most excited to see you but your pets? And when that love or pet and friendship comes to an end, it is quite often a grieving experience. It is not uncommon for people in society, our friends, to expect us to get over it very fast. It's not uncommon for people to say things like, it was just a dog, and not acknowledge that this is absolutely a grieving experience. Grief is cumulative, and it can be cumulatively negative. So a loss from a pet can attach to other griefs and other losses in our heart, and we can absolutely feel it full force. So that is another program that I teach. One of the programs that we're going to be having coming up next year are weekend intensives. They're where we absolutely take the grieving experience and we break it down into a 2-day seminar, Saturdays and Sundays. I will have a co-teacher with me that I'm so excited to have, and that's my sister Erica. She will be joining me on the weekend intensives, and we'll be teaching them over a 2-day process. And then we have a new program that will be coming up this year, and it is called Moving On. And that program is for the breakup of a romantic relationship or a divorce that anyone has shared, that anyone has experienced. I have a couple of programs coming up, and that will be July 31st. I have a Tuesday morning program that's going to be starting at 10 a.m. July 31st, and it's an open house, and it'll be a chance for anyone to just come and see if this program is for you. Is this the program for you? It's where I absolutely will be sharing about grief and loss in my office in Valencia. I also have another program that will be starting on Thursday evening, and that will be starting August 23rd. It'll be Thursday evening in my office. Both of these are group programs that will be coming up. They're going to be amazing. They'll both be 8-week programs. You will get your book and all your homework assignments that you need to do. It's about 45 minutes of homework a week. that we will share, but we'll absolutely give you a chance to share what's going on in your heart over the process, which is really great, which I love about the program. I can be reached anytime on my personal email, Sharon@SharonBrubaker.com. You absolutely can reach me on my personal cell phone number at 661-212-0720. And I'm also here to tell you that I am not too old to text, so you absolutely can text me. So again, that's 661-212-0720. And any questions you may have, again, it's absolutely confidential. The open houses that I'm having on July 31st and August 23rd are going to be a moment for us to just get together and talk about grief and loss and talk about what it absolutely feels like. But today I want to offer you guys all a free gift. I have a couple of free gifts that I'd like to offer you. One is I have a questionnaire on my web page, right? That's what it's called, website. Okay, I am an old lady. My daughters are dying right now, just so you guys know. I have a questionnaire on there. A lot of times we can have a feeling that our life is just not as happy or fulfilling as we want it to be, and it can be caused by cumulative losses in our heart. So I have this questionnaire on my website, and you can download it, and it literally is instructions and a list of about 19 questions that you can look at and answer for yourself to see if you are experiencing grief and loss in your own heart. Another gift that I have for you free, and you can absolutely download it, it is my free ebook. And that ebook has about 61 questions and definitions on grief that you can talk about, that you can look at and read and understand a lot of what I've shared here today. And it will help you understand a little bit more of what you may be going through. It will absolutely discuss the definition of grief, and that is where we start. Grief is a loss, an experience that takes place in our heart. It is emotional incompleteness. And this ebook will help you walk through that and navigate through any loss that you may have and make it a little bit more clear for you. I love the ebook because it answers a few of your pertinent questions right away. And then after you've downloaded that, if you have any questions, you can definitely shoot them over to me, like I said, through text or on my webpage or at Sharon@SharonBrubaker.com. I'd be honored to answer any of those for you. If either one of my open houses do not work for you, I do offer a free mini session. It's just a session to sit with me and talk. Just a session to see if this is absolutely for you. It is not uncommon for grievers to meet me and want to come in before they join a class, just sit and talk with me first. It's so important to have a safe place to talk, a place where you feel someone is absolutely hearing you. Grievers need to talk. They need to blow off steam. They need to be listened and heard with respect. And that's what I'm here to offer you. A free mini session. And guys, if this is not for you right now, I absolutely understand. Feel free to pass on any of my information to any of your family or friends that you feel may need it. You can also reach out to me here at the radio station. I want this grief recovery program to be a resource for the Santa Clarita Valley. I'm so honored to be here and to be offering it with you guys today. Thank you so much for joining me on my first solo session. I am so excited that I made it through. I want to dedicate this show today to my sister Erica, to Austin, Tyler, who really changed my life and really made it worth living, and that he and I together go out, and he is my reason why forever. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a great day.